Hey guys, Zen here. Audio should be fixed right now, and we are going to be going over the entire set, all 69 cards of Extra Dimensional Crisis A3A. I'm super excited. I still have no idea what the immersive is, and after we're done with this, I'm going to be heading down to the beach. So let's start off with our first card, Lil. Now, this thing just does Seed Bomb for 20, nothing too crazy. We're going to kind of go pretty fast through this. We have Lilligant here, and this cuts for 60 for 2 energy, which isn't too bad. It also retreats for 2, so that's something to be aware about. We have Rowlet here, the Fury attack, flip 3 coins. This attack does 10 damage for each heads. I mean, these are all just pretty common cards, really nothing too crazy. Skill Dive, this attack does 20 to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Now, I think this Dartrix is 110% going to replace the previous Dartrix. I just can't imagine you play that one and you're playing your rare candies and you have the single stage 1 line of Dartrix in your deck. This just helps synergize with the Decadui EX. Speaking of Decadui, we have a baby Decadui right here. Sniping Arrow, this attack does 70 to one of your opponent's Pokemon. That's insane, actually, for a Pokemon, a grass type Pokemon that has access to something like Leaf Cape. You can just put that cape on, you're 160 HP, and you can snipe anything on the board for 70. That's pretty strong. You guys thinking what I'm thinking? A little bit of a Flute action with this guy? I don't know. This feels like a really good card. Not as good as Decadui EX, but yo, your boy's cooking already. Next up, we have a Buzzwole EX. You already know how I feel about this guy. Amazing. Big Beat 120 during your next turn. This Pokemon can't use Big Beat. However, with the whole Celesteela tech and the second Buzzwole, you can just switch them out. It's kind of amazing. I think this is probably one of the better EX Pokemons in this set. I give it a 4 out of 5, to be honest. Then we have Pheromosa. I think this is pretty cool. This attack does 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Synergizes with the Decadui EX. Helps with the Buzzwole EX. Jump Blues for 20. Only the one energy here is just so good. I think the only thing it could have been better would be a 0 retreat cost, because Pheromosa is pretty fast, but then maybe it would have been a little too broken. Plus we have Celesteela somewhere in today's list. And then finally we have Kartana right here, Thrash Metal for 40. Not too bad. 60. It's a far-fetched that has access to Leaf Cape. I'm not upset about that, to be honest. Now we have our only fire type, which is super appropriate because I feel like Alola, did Alola actually have even, I feel like Alola didn't have access to a lot of fire types. Blacephalon, this is a comeback card. You don't really play this on turn 1 or 2. This is like, this wins you the game if you're losing and you just need 1 point or maybe even 2 and they have an EX somewhere, right? Other than that, I just don't think you play this card like this. This is almost like a tech card. This isn't a high value card in my opinion. So I don't know. Then we have Mantine here. 2 energy for 50. Respectable. Retreats for 2. Carvana. Sorry, I said Carnivine. Enough of that. Carvana right here. Bites for 20. And then we have Sharpedo here that crunches. Flip a coin. If heads, discard a random energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. Now, I think we might actually see some play with this card. It does 50 damage and has the opportunity to slow your opponent's active Pokemon. It isn't a guarantee like Beedrill, because that would have been a little too OP, but it's not too bad. It might have some synergy in certain decks. Now you have what, energy removal and water, which also has ramp. It's kind of, yeah, we'll see what this card can do. Now we're going into the lightning portion, and I think they have the best out of everything here. You have Shinx here that bites for 20. That could replace the previous Shinx. We have Luxio here, head bolts for 50 for 2. And then we have this Luxray, which is interesting. Now I left a comment when I pulled it in my max pack openings. You guys should check it out. Sorry for the audio on that one. Finally got it fixed out. Do you guys want to know what the audio issue was? Turns out I wasn't recording with the mic. I was recording with the laptop mic. I know, amateur hour here. Anyway, Luxray for 130 HP has this really neat ability, Intimidating Fang. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, attacks used by your opponent's active Pokemon do minus 20 damage. That's pretty good. It also has an attack that does 90 damage. Doesn't discard any energy. Now, it's not 110 that snipes anything on the board, but you don't lose energy, which is pretty cool. I think the only downside of this card is that it does not retreat for free, and instead now you need to retreat for 1. But because of that, I still like, I think it's as good as the previous Luxray. It's just in a different category of good. Like it has different application, right? Like you use that one to snipe. That's always what you're trying to do. You're sniping their bench before they can get online. You knock them out, you get points. This has a little bit more sustain in the active spot, and you're not really worried about retreating and building it back up with something like Volkner. But speaking of Volkner, well, now you could run Luxray with Volkner and something else that could be your front line, right? Like maybe a Tapu Koko, right? Tapu Koko goes down, well then Luxray can come in and kind of sustain and tank until it wins you the game. So that's just my 2 cents on Luxray. A huge fan. You guys already know how much I love this card, this Pokemon. Next up is the, where are we? Oh, we're here. Blitzle for 2 rear kick. That's a lot. I'll probably still play the old one. However, on curve, evolving into Zebstrika for 90 that deals 70 is kind of nuts. It doesn't snipe for 30 and instead deals massive damage for 70. Sign me up. I'll take that any day of the week. This is so much damage, bro. If you're going first, you guarantee that on your second turn you evolve into Zebstrika. No, I'm just kidding. You don't guarantee that. You don't have the energy production. Oh my god, I got ahead of myself. I guess the only way that would happen is, because my brain is working so fast, is if you had this on your bench and then the following turn you also dawned onto your Zebstrika to then knock out their basic Pokemon before they got the chance to rare candy. So like their Charmander or anything like that, just one shot, gone. Get out of here. We're not doing none of that today. Not in my house. But I feel like there's a lot of missing parts there. Still though, 70 damage for Zebstrika, 2 energy is pretty good. It's pretty aggressive. We have a Molga here for 30. Static Shock, not the superhero. Crazy stuff. And then Tapu Koko. This thing is so good. It literally, like, Pikachu EX from set 1 doesn't even exist because of this guy. Plasma Hurricane, 20 damage, and then it also ramps itself. So the following turn, doesn't matter how many lightning types are on your bench, you're guaranteed to do 90 damage to your opponent. And what's crazy is this is going to synergize with one of the new item cards. I pulled a ton of them. I'm so excited to play that. So I think I actually already have a full set of Tapu Koko. It might be one of the first ones I play today. Yeah, very excited to play with that one. And then the 130 HP is not too bad, in my opinion. Let's moving on. We have Xurkitree here. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused for 60. Again, with the new lightning type tool card. This is not too bad, actually. This is pretty good. The 100 HP is pretty low. And then we already kind of talked about this in Zeraora. 90 HP, Thunderclap. At the end of your first turn, take a lightning energy from your energy zone, excuse me, and attach it to this Pokemon. So it kind of fixes the issue of going first if you're playing this specific card. It also helps synergize with things like Dawn, right, to ramp something else. So it's not too bad. It's not too bad. It only works if you're going first. If you're going second, you this does nothing. So I don't know. It kind of feels weird a little bit. Clefairy, we talked about this on Twitter. This is the most broken card in all of existence. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out my Twitter. Then you'll know what I'm talking about. And then we have Clefable here. Psychic Colorless Moonkick for 60. Not too bad. I like the art. I'll give him that. Phantump Spooky Shot. Can't remember the previous one. I feel like this one might be better. And then we have a Trevenant that racks down for 70. I'm pretty sure the other one might be better. I'm not entirely sure. Morlul hooks for 20. And then Shiinotic here. I forgot. So many people said this card is kind of mid. I'm going to make a deck. I already talked about it on Discord. Yeah, I'll put you guys on it real quick because you're watching this video. Shiinotic, Fossils, you're welcome. Moving on, that instantly becomes an S tier card. What are you guys talking about? We're always talking about we need fossils, need support. That's your fossil support right here. As long as you pull your like actual item cards, like your Skull Fossil, well, Shiinotic here can just find you your Rampardos or your Cranidos or whatever you want without losing a single card from your hand, and you win probably on turn 3. You're welcome. A Meditite. Ooh, we're going into fighting types now. I hope there's a ramp. I honestly have no idea. Flip a coin. If heads, this attack does 20 more damage. Not too bad. We have High Jump Kick for 50. This Medicham is actually pretty peak. It retreats for 2 though, which kind of stinks. Ball Toy Spinning Attack 30. 2 colorless. Not too crazy, except the card that I think is insane this set, and I'm so excited, is this Clay Doll. What do you mean the ability Heal Block is a thing? You play it on your bench, and then both you and your opponent can't be healed, meaning they can't use lilies, They can't use Erika's. This thing is beautiful. I might even just put it in as a tech card, to be honest, in some of my help me out here Ultra Beast decks, just to have it in the back. I don't know. I'll try to figure it out, because 20 card decks is still pretty tough. This Rock Ruff stinks. I'm gonna be honest, the other one's better. And the other one can find you this evolution, except this evolution also kinds of stinks. Discard a fighting energy from this Pokemon. It does do 130 damage, which is nice, but like for 150 stage 1 and you cost 2 points and you're not even ramping, I don't know. I still don't know actually if there's another card that ramps here. Passimian, if Passimian is on your bench, this attack does 40 more damage, is on your bench. It doesn't say Passimian EX, so that means only another Passimian. You can't use this with the EX, because like Wishy-Washy, it would say Wishy-Washy and Wishy-Washy EX, which this does not. Sandy Gast, Sandy Shot for 30, not too bad. And then Palossand during your opponent's next turn, depending on can retreat 4 energy, 90. Again, fighting gets no ramp. This stinks. All right, Alolan Meowth, discard a random Pokemon tool card from your opponent's hand. All right, I think that's actually pretty good. I think between this and Guzma, you can actually force your opponent to just like lose advantage that way. Like if they're holding off something like the new Beastite tool card, which I guess we'll talk about very shortly, but yeah, no, I think the Alolan Meowth might actually be pretty strong. And then we have Fake Out here, Alolan Persian, flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon's now paralyzed, not too bad. We have Sandile, bites for 20. We have Krokoroko, Light Punch for 40, and then we have Crocodile, Poaching Fangs, 90. Flip 3 coins for each heads. A card is chosen at random from your opponent's hand. Your opponent reveals that card and shuffles it into their deck. Oh my god, this is toxic. This is toxic. I need this card. I think I have it, but I need to build a deck around this card. How do I get 3 dark energies, or just 3 energies on Crocodile, so that way I can start trolling my opponent? Oh my god, this is amazing. I feel like you play that with red card, to be honest. Nihilijo, we already know what I feel about this. More poison that stacks. This thing with Poison Barb is about to be the new meta. This is an S tier card. It's so strong. Guzzlord EX, another probably S tier card. Only time will tell, but it's only probably good. Yo, what are these flares? Oh god, I need to flare that. That's so sick. That's so cool. I might actually flare the Ultra Beasts, man. But yeah, it's a really good card. And then we have Poplio, 2-step, flip 2 coins. This attack does 20 damage for each heads. And then we have Najanadel, Electro House, 40. Your opponent's active Pokemon's now poison. Not too bad. Moving on to metal. I feel like we got a lot of metals this set. Alolan Diglett, flip a coin. If heads, tails, this attack does nothing. And then we got the Alolan Dugtio EX, which again, if you watch my max pack openings, probably pulled 30 of them. Insane. The game wants me to play this card so bad that they even gave me some 2 stars and even Rainbow Border Dugtrio on day 1. That's all I'm going to tell you guys. You guys should check that out. Anyway, triple headbutt, 60x, flip 3 coins. This attack does 60 for each heads for only 2 and like energy. Full Gamba. It is only 130 HP. It's like, in my opinion, a better Celebi, but also a worse Celebi. But because your boy has played Celebi before, in fact, I've won a tournament with Celebi Superior Executor, I don't see why I don't enter a tournament with Alolan Dugtrio. It's like the game is trying to put it on my plate in order to do so. I think I will. We got Aaron here, headbutt for 40, nothing crazy. Larion, lunge out for 3 energy for 60, retreats for 3, and then we have Aggron. Giga Impact 150 during your opponent's next turn. This Pokemon can't attack. Honestly, not too bad. It's pretty balanced. Retreats for 4, which stinks. You can't do the fossil tech with this, but not too bad. And then we have Ferroseed, Spike, Sting for 40, and then Ferrothorn that has an ability. This Pokemon's in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon. Do 20 damage to the attacking Pokemon. So this is literally Drud, but a stage 1 with a little bit more HP and pretty decent attacking potential, unless I'm not understanding this. If this Pokemon's in the active spot and is damaged from attack, yeah, no, this is literally Drud. Makes sense. Okay, and then we have Man, I got this name right last week. just go to that video. We got this Pokemon. Brass Rock for 40. Metal colorless during your opponent's next turn. This Pokemon takes minus 20 damage. Not too bad. A lot of bulk a lot of tank for the metal Pokemon, and then the Alolan Dugtio with full Gambit, which honestly I'm a huge fan of. All right, Lillipup for 20 damage. Nothing crazy. Herdier 30 is actually pretty good for only 1 energy. And then we have this Stoutland, which I am a huge fan of this Pokemon from Unova. One of my first favorites because I just like dog Pokemon. I like dogs. And the Guard Dog Visage ability, as long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, attacks used by your opponent's active Pokemon cost 1 more energy. So that feels pretty good for a Pokemon that has something like Sharp Fang that deals 70 for only 2. I think it's good because if your opponent's Pokemon needs 4 energy, well, now they need 5. And you're able to pop off 2, maybe even 3 Sharp Fangs, which, let's be honest, knocks out everything in the game. Now, if you run Stoutland with something like our boy here, Claydol, on the bench, that also requires 3 colorless, well, your opponent can't heal, and your Stoutland will, in fact, knock out that Pokemon very quickly. So that's pretty cool. Stuffle, Rams for 2 energy for 40, and then we have Beware, flip 2 coins. If both of them are heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out. Oh, that's full Gambit. This is like Aerodactyl, but kind of better, but also kind of worse because you need to flip 2 coins. However, it's better because it counts as a knockout and you actually get prize points. Interesting. I wonder if we'll actually see application of this Beware over the last Beware. I mean, they both are kind of pretty hard to play, but it is an interesting ability. We have Oranguru with Hammer in 70. I don't know which one's better. They both kind of stink, to be honest. Type Null, flip a coin if heads. This attack does 20 more damage. And then Silvally, which I still haven't read. If you played a supporter card from your hand during this turn, this attack does 50 more damage. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So this at most can do 120 with red. This can do 110 with Giovanni. This could, I don't know, do something else with another damage boosting supporter card, which I have not seen yet. But there's a ton of new supporter cards this set that might actually synergize with Silvally. Celesteela lets you swap in and out all your Ultra Beasts from the active spot with the bench, as long as they are both Ultra Beasts that you're swapping, so that's really cool. And that's it. The rest are item cards and supporters, and this is what I wanted to talk about. Beast Wall is blue, but better for your Ultra Beasts only, I'm pretty sure, right? And you could only use this as long as your opponent, if you can only use this card if your opponent hasn't gotten any points. So you could only use this to slow them down at the start. If you draw this like turn 3-4 after they have a point, it's a wasteful card. So there's a huge trade-off there, which I think balances this card. However, the benefit is just so good, right? During your opponent's next turn, all of your Ultra Beasts take minus 20 damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. I think that's really strong. However, the trade-off again is if you don't pull this until much later. Repel is insane. They literally... everyone who doesn't understand this card, this is the Dina, this is Pokemon Pocket listening to us, complaining about Darkrai and Giratina. They gave us a Sabrina that is not a supporter that works specifically with basic Pokemon. This is insane, right? And it also works with Oricorio. This is insane. This is so good. This is a staple. This is S+ tier, right? Especially in the current meta. That's the only reason I'm saying this is S+ tier, is because things like Darkrai, Giratina, Oricorio, a lot of basics are just a little too strong. And this forces you to switch out your opponent's active basic Pokemon to the bench. This is a beautiful card that I think might become a new staple in a lot of decks, especially in tournaments and probably into the higher ranks of Master, in my opinion. All right, let's move on to the Electrical Cord. This thing is pretty beautiful too. I'm just going to read this card and then we'll theory craft around it real quick. This is what I love doing. Electrical Cord. If the lightning Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active spot and is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's active Pokemon, move 2 lightning energy from that Pokemon and attach 1 energy to each to 2 of your bench Pokemon. So it's like it does what Manaphy does if you lose your active. So if your active is something like Tapu Koko, well then you can take 1 energy and give it to 2 of your lightning type Pokemon, or not even lightning type Pokemon. That's the crazy part. Pokemon on bench. It just says that, right? You just take the 2 lightning energies and then give it to the benched Pokemon. Now, it doesn't have to be Tapu Koko that gets knocked out. It could be something else. It could be your Oricorio, right? And then you feed it into another Oricorio. It could be your Magnezone. It could be so many things. But it helps you set up your follow-up, your rebuttal, your comeback card, your hey, you just knocked out my active. Well, you also, by doing so, helped me speed up my next card. Here's a situation, right? You have your Magnezone. It shoots him for 110, loses an energy, has 2, has electrical cord. And on your bench, you have a brand new Pikachu EX from Shining Revelry that deals 150. And you have, I don't know, let's say Rayquaza, right? Something silly. Well, your Magnezone gets knocked out. So now 1 energy each goes to the Pikachu and the Rayquaza. You bring in the Pikachu. The following turn, you accelerate the energy with from the energy zone, the lightning. So now Pikachu has 2. And if you have a Dawn in your hand, well, now Pikachu gets to be the comeback card to slap your opponent with 150 and potentially win you the game. Again, there's a lot of missing parts there or moving parts, but the strategies and the synergies that this card enables, in my opinion, I'm a huge fan of. And I can't wait to see what this does with things like, I don't know, Volkner, Luxray, Electivire. Yeah, I'm excited to see this. Next up, we have the Beastite tool card. Attacks used by your Ultra Beast. This card is attached to do plus 10 damage for each point you have gotten to your opponent's active Pokemon. So at most, it can do a plus 20 if you're leading, which is kind of crazy because, let me just say this. This, with your Buzzwole and a Giovanni, one-shots a Guzzlord, right? I think this makes Buzzwole probably one of the stronger EXs in the entire set. That's just a hot take real quick. Obviously, on paper, Guzzlord is much better, right? Tapu Koko is pretty cool. Some people would even say the Alolan Dugtio is pretty neat. I don't think anyone's saying the Lycanroc is. However, Buzzwole with this tool, and your opponent doesn't have a Guzma or something, I think becomes a very oppressive card. But that's just my opinion. All right, now we're going into the supporters. We have Gladion, 1 random type Null or Silvally from your deck into your hand. Again, this game I don't think will ever let us search for a card, but instead we'll say put 1 random, right? It's the game is very randomized. This isn't the official TCG. So moving forward, we could always expect that they'll give us cards that do put cards from our deck, but in a random way. And it's up to us to deck build the 20 card deck in a way that helps us improve the odds of the cards that we actually want to get. I think this is pretty good if you're playing Null or Silvally, right? Looker here. Your opponent reveals all the supporter cards in their deck. This is insane, right? This is such a stupid card. I can easily tell you that this will see 0 play in tournaments because tournaments already have open deck lists, right? You can see every single card in your opponent's deck. However, this will probably see a lot of play in rank. I think this would see a lot of play in rank because if you can see what supporter cards are still left in their deck, I don't think it shows you what's in their hand. Now you can strategically hold off on playing certain cards to counter those cards. Right now it's like I have a little bit of information that you don't have, so now this card is going to be better to use to this card, right? So I think that's pretty cool. I think it's very, like, pretend you have a TRG, right, and they have something like a Louisamine or Volkner. You might want to wait until they use their ramp card to build up their active to then just be like, TRG, they're all gone. Not that TRG is a 100% card, but that's kind of just a quick scenario. So I think that's just my 2 cents about this. And it's funny because his name is Looker, right? He gets to look into your opponent's deck. Oh, I see what they did there. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And then finally, the Louisamine. This card is amazing. Choose one of your Ultra Beasts, attach 2 random energy from your discard pile to that Pokemon. Only if your opponent has gotten at least 1 point. Insane card. Is a must-have in every single Ultra Beast deck. With that being said, that's pretty much it. These are, let's see what the immersive is. I still have no idea. It's Buzzwole EX. And of course we have, Nihilego is the golden card. I did not see this coming. I am surprised. I need 2 of them. What else can I say? I'm gonna max spend for 2, guys. Anyway, that's gonna be it. These shinies, they're still bringing us shinies from previous set. Don't know how to feel about that, except I'm going to be honest. I pulled one of these and I quickly shut up of my complaints about shinies. Let's be honest, some shiny cards are a nice flex. The rest are not. But there you guys have it. I pulled some really good cards day one. Some that yeah, I'm pretty excited. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments which decks you want to see me cook around. Like, just drop the Pokemon names. I'm still on vacation, by the way, so I'll do my best. I'll be back on Saturday. We'll continue our live streams and, you know, play ranked alive then. But anyway, there you guys have it. That's my full review. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.